Let's go, BD. Let's go, BD.
Here it is. I have finally found an intact representation of this sacred Zepho artifact. My friend, look closely. This is Mixtral at the Vault Ambagana. You can see an object in their hand. Based on this imagery, I believe this object allows a Force wielder to perceive the mysteries of the Vault. This is the key and the guide, the Zepho Astrium. But who would destroy images of it, and why? It requires more research. However, our next step is clear. Find an Astrium, if any still exist.
An Astrium. You ever heard of it? Me neither. But a key. Yeah, I understand that. Looks like we know what we have to find.
Huh? Oh, neat.
Just need to know, don't you? Yes. Let's take a look.
Hmm?
Mind tossing me a stim?
Very good, Padawan. you've cleared the way.
What are you talking about?
I needed this tomb raised. And now that I have what I need, you're of no use to me.
Can you reverse what she's done?
Ah!
Thanks. Hope this new encryption keeps her out for good.
Ah, crap-a-doodles. Oh, you gotta be pretty slick, I guess. Alright. Wow, alright.
Oh, it's you.
A probe droid processing unit. What's it like hacking other droids anyway? Yeah, I feel weird about hacking people too. For a good cause though, right?
Do a dance. Hey, look, he did a dance. Alright. Control damaged Imperial probe droids. Okay. Ah! Alright. I thought I had to climb it. All I had to do was push it.
We should check
And
in with
so
Regis.
I fell.
Drilla probably knows where they are. You sure the comm's fixed? They're not answering. Something's wrong. We need to get back. Nobody around. Some kind of trap. Seems like we've been walking into a lot of them lately. Wait, do you hear that?
The most interesting thing about King Charles I is that he was 5 foot 6 inches tall at the start of his reign, and only 4 foot 8 inches tall at the end of it. Charles, my son! What is it, Charles, my father? Charles is not safe here. Run! Hide in exile in France! But there's one problem, father. I don't speak French. Mon Dieu! C'est tragique! Qu'est-ce que devrions-nous faire? I still don't understand what that... Ah! Voila! Babel! Vous devez fuir le pays car you say Babel. English? Babel is the perfect app to begin.
That was the most French I've ever heard
In
since
3 weeks, Babel's bite-sized
Letterkenny.
interactive lessons.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Starting to speak in your new mother tongue. And with their wide selection of games,
Put that
podcasts,
on
and
mute
more,
for a
you'll
second.
fit right in.
Good.
Take in new experiences around the world. Immerse yourself. The most interesting thing about King Charles I is that he was 5 foot 6 inches tall at the start of his reign, and only 4 foot 8 inches tall
Bye-bye.
at the end of it. Charles, my son! What is it, Charles, my father? Charles, it's not safe here. Run! Hide in exile in France. But there's one problem, father. I don't speak French. Mon Dieu! C'est tragique! Qu'est-ce que devrions-nous faire? I still don't understand what that... Ah! Voila! Babel! Vous devez fuir le pays car you utilisez Babel. English? Babel is the perfect app to begin your new
Half of it was really bad. Well, part of it was really bad. The rest of it was okay. Some of it was bad, but it was alright. The rest of it.
And more, you'll fit right in. Take in new experiences around the world. Immerse yourself in new cultures and enjoy the simple pleasure of learning something new every day. All you have to do is click the link or scan the QR code to get 60% off. Thank you for this, Father. I'll think of you always. What about me, Papa? You. Don't forget to wear sunscreen. The English Parliament had been stewing in frustration with the king well before Charles ever put on a crown. His father, King James, of Bible fame, really wanted to go to war to help his family in Bohemia, but Parliament voted no. I am England, and if I say we're going to war, then by God, we're going to war. That's adorable. I propose a motion we stop paying taxes to the king. Aye. The ayes have it. Of course, we might be willing to reconsider if Prince Charles marries a Protestant and England goes to war with Spain. Well, James and Charles thought that was a load of steaming hogbollocks. In fact, they had already made plans for Charles to marry the Spanish Infanta. So Charles made up his mind to go around Parliament. He and his good friend, George Villiers, Duke of Buckingham, would sneak out of the country incognito to make this marriage happen. I say, Tom, what a capital idea. Very quite, Jack. Most quite indeed. Oh, sir, deliver us to the coast, would you? Yes, your majesty. Princessa, a couple of hooligans to see you. It's me, the Prince of England. A couple of clean-shaven hooligans to see you. Her Grace does not speak to infidels, I'm afraid. She tells me she will marry you on the condition you convert to Roman Catholicism, and you must repeal your edicts of religious discrimination. Should you comply, you may expect to see Her Grace next 1 year after the wedding. We're going to war with Spain! That wasn't the deal. Trust me, it was never gonna fly. Am I right, Villiers? Totes, your majesty. Totes. But war with Spain is expensive! Then why did you ask for it? Charles and Villiers had the crybaby treasurer impeached. Impeachment had only happened once recently, and James warned the boys that they would regret giving Parliament such a powerful tool to deal with their enemies. For the moment, though, they had a little win. Parliament tossed just enough money to the king to send one spunky mercenary captain and a gaggle of ruffians to go fight for Bohemia. They made it as far as the Netherlands. But that's okay. After all, Parliament had already approved the war, so Charles, now king, calls Parliament together the next year and says, "Hey, things didn't go quite as planned, so let's talk about our budget this year. Actually, let's talk about your wife." Charles had given up on the Spanish Infanta and married a French woman. Problem is, the French, also Catholic. And part of the deal to get that dowry money was that Charles had to punish Catholics in England a little bit less for being Catholics, which did not fly in Parliament. And if you want the rights to import and export taxes, you're going to have to call us again next year, because we're only going to lend you those rights. And another thing, ditch Villiers. The man's a clown. Villiers acted on my orders. If you've got a problem with him, you've got a problem with me, muchacho. Too bad you can't impeach a king. Ha! Checkmate, dweebs! Your Majesty, I've heard enough. Parliament is hereby dissolved. Charles chalks up all the drama to some bad apples. So he does a little election tampering. He makes sure that all those troublemakers are elected county sheriff, and the sheriffs aren't allowed to leave their county to come to London and participate in Parliament. With that business squared away, he calls Parliament the following year. "We're not giving you more money." But why? Because last time you gave it to this bozo and he spent £250,000 to get 5,400 sailors drunk in Cadiz Harbor. Come on, you had to be there. He's gotta go. All in favor of impeachment? Dismissed. You're all dismissed. Parliament over. Appreciate it, man. I got you, bro. Charles looks for new ways to get money, and he comes up with loans. Kind of like government-issued war bonds, in a way, but if you don't buy them, you get thrown in prison without trial. Charles racks up a bunch of cash, gives it to Villiers, sends him to France, and it's done. It's all done. Villiers failed him. Where did that send Charles? Right back to Parliament. Of course we'll give you the money, on the condition you never go behind our backs again. And stop taking our stuff! Yeah, no more taking our stuff and throwing us in jail. Okay. And for God's sake, get rid of Villiers. Never! Petition of right. More like petition of right. Am I right, Villiers? Up high! George Villiers was stabbed to death that year by a man who'd been passed up for a promotion and was tired of watching George screw up without reprisal.
Wait,
the
what?
next thing Parliament wanted to do was discuss import-export taxes and how Charles was sort of going around Parliament's backs again.
Oh, crap.
Charles snapped Parliament out of existence for 11 years and arrested 9 MPs. Charles was determined to make it in the world all on his own, even if he had to use every loophole in the book. This time, he banked on ship money. You see, back in the old days, before England had a standing navy, the king used to order seaside towns to build ships for war, or they could give him money instead. Sure, in 1634, England wasn't under any immediate threat, but you never know what could happen, and technically, a levy for national defense was not a tax, which meant he was in the clear. King Charles was happy as a clam. He could finally turn England into his own personal autocracy. There was just one problem: religion. You see, when James VI of Scotland became James I of England and inherited not only a kingdom, but an entire religion whose doctrine made him the infallible supreme leader, well, he thought the Scots really ought to give this whole Anglicanism thing a try, but he'd have to take it slow. Charles now was just delivering on some of the patch notes to Christianity that James had promised. But the Scots weren't happy. They hated the church hierarchy being led by bishops, who they saw as a bunch of stooges appointed by the king. And when the king handed down a new prayer book with new religious doctrines, they rioted. The Scottish Parliament and the Scottish Church's Parliament both signed a covenant saying no one was allowed to change Scotland's religion without going through them. Charles can't abide lest the Puritans of England get any ideas, a bunch of weirdos, and that means war. And war means money. Oh, sure, he fought with his own money for a while, but any chance to end the war quickly left when the Scots tricked him into thinking their army was 10 sizes too big. So the only solution was Parliament. Look, calling a Parliament in the first place, that's a pretty big concession. So let's give a big hip hip hurrah for England and save our grievances for later, huh? But by now, Parliament had a long list of grievances. Charles says he'll give up ship money in exchange for a grant. Parliament says, now see here, oh, not again. Then realized, oh, right, he still had to fight a war in Scotland, and he called Parliament.
Food is a movement, a mission, a 50-year history of combining fruits and vegetables, vitamins, and
Here, you can't go around dissolving it like that. It really messes with your head. Parliament can be dissolved only with consent by Parliament. It must hereafter meet at least once every 3 years at a minimum. No more spontaneous arrests. Parliament arrests Charles' advisors, claiming they were inspiring the king to do evil and trying to maintain the delicate film of polite incredulity that the real problem was the king. That is, if the king would just play along. Furthermore, they arrest his deputy in Ireland, meaning there will be no absolute monarchy anywhere in the British Isles. And also the Scottish win the war anyway. Without the Lord Deputy of Ireland's boots on the ground, Ireland rebels. Charles and Parliament both agree somebody should do something about that, but neither one of them is willing to raise an army if the other one is going to lead it. Parliament then does a whole bunch of spring cleaning, kicking out all their bishops, giving themselves the right to veto the king's cabinet, and King Charles puts his foot down. King Charles! You can't be in here! The other scenes were for the sake of simplicity. The king has never set foot in the House of Commons for the sake of law and order. Ha! You're not going to believe this. Here's law, and here's order. They just want to have a little chat with the men who are leading all of this. Bring me John Hampden, Arthur Hasselrig, John Pym, and the rest of those empty seats. Where are they? May it please your majesty, I saw what Parliament says I saw, and I'll tell you what Parliament says I'll tell you. It's not quite as intense a moment as I was led to believe by the scene with Obi-Wan Kenobi that made me choose this topic in the first place, but it's clear things are headed in the direction of war. Charles moves his family out of London. Parliament delivers their demands. Charles moves across the country to gather weapons and soldiers until... No. You can't come in. All right, I am your king. Oh, come easy. Charles orders the man to be arrested as a traitor, but what's he gonna do about it? He lays siege to the town and the English Civil War has officially begun. A general layout of the war for me. Parliament's got the south, the east, and the big cities. Charles has got the north, the Wales, and the countryside. Scotland supports Parliament on the condition that England become Presbyterian. The Irish supported Charles, believing he'd be more receptive to a pro-Catholic Ireland. Charles has a good opportunity to defeat a major parliamentarian army, but instead of speeding towards London, he stops violently sack a city or two along the way, giving the parliamentarian army enough time to make it to London first and warn everyone about the horrible things his king is going to do to everybody in town if Parliament loses. Not to mention he's allied with the scary Irish Catholics. Charles thinks his own Parliament in Oxford, it doesn't do much. The London Parliament decides they're not very good at running an army, actually, and creates the new model army, led by army men who are not allowed to be in government, and vice versa. Except for... The parliamentarians split their... Charles splits his forces. It doesn't work. Charles is outmatched, surrenders, but pointedly, he surrenders to the Scots. He shows up in their camp and they go, "Oh my God, King Charles, how did you get here? What a surprise!" But they knew exactly why he was there. He was there to make a deal. They say, some time ago, an envoy from France sent us an idea to make a separate peace with the king. Where's kept secret in Britain, amigo? Yes, thank you. Of course, his idea was to drive a wedge between Scotland and England and one day reignite the old alliance between France and Scotland. So why should I agree with him? It so happens some folks in England are of the idea that there shouldn't be an official state religion, and we should all be welcome to worship as we please. Bunch of hillocks. Frankly, we could give a hoot about all the duties and taxes and privileges and whatever it is they're so upset about in London. Make Presbyterianism the state religion in England and Scotland. We will fight for you to be on the throne. I think you mean to say you couldn't give a hoot. Oh my God! Charles reasons that in peacetime, men are led from the pulpit more than by the sword, and if the church doesn't have him as its supreme leader, then maybe people might start to question giving all the power in the country to a singular man. So he said no. The Scots didn't really know what to do with him, so they sold him to the English. It was true, though, what he said about different people having different ideas about religion. Divisions were already starting to form among the revolutionaries. It's very easy to unite in order to oppose something. It's a lot more difficult to decide who or what gets to replace it. In England, Parliament was torn between the Presbyterians, who, again, anti-bishop, and the Independents, who wanted no state religion. The army, by this point, was quickly becoming a political faction all its own, mostly independent, but then the army elected a bunch of representatives to go to Parliament to present their grievances, to which Parliament rolled its eyes and said the army would be paid, eventually. And then within the army, the rank-and-file soldiers were degrees more radical than their superior officers. Charles was playing the waiting game. The Independents will fight the Presbyterians, and then the Scots will fight the English, and Parliament will fight the army, and the army will fight itself, and they'll all realize how badly they need their king, their Leviathan. Problem is, someone has to be in charge in order to negotiate with Charles. Charles' fate depends on who wins, and oftentimes, that's not the moderates. The army steals Charles away from the Parliament and tries to negotiate with him, but Charles isn't ready to pick a side just yet. The Scottish and English Presbyterians are getting antsy because they don't like the army getting all political. They say, "Hey, Charles, would you just try Presbyterianism for 3 years? Just try it, you'll like it." And Charles says, "Yes, it's Civil War time, baby." The Scottish and the Presbyterians were not the right choice. The Second Civil War goes very badly for Charles' friend. He's taken back to England to continue negotiating with Parliament because he's the king, Parliament gotta negotiate with him. But the army is done playing this game. Colonel Thomas Pride walks into Parliament, refuses to let anyone in who isn't on the side of the army, and arrests another 45 MPs. "You're no better than King Charles! You can't do that!" Or what? You're going to start a civil war against the army? Of 470 members in total, 83 are present for the vote when they declare that England will not be negotiating with Charles. What's left of the House of Commons passes an act formally accusing Charles of treason. It fails in the House of Lords. "Sod the sodding lord! Thou sodding sod them in the sod!" "Sir, 'tis all of them! Abolish them if you have to! Just get me that trial!" 3 Chief Justices find it unlawful. "We hereby create the law that says we can try the sodding king!" How do you plead? To what? Treason against myself, am I right, millions? Oh, That's a confession to me, to the Axeman. They actually recorded that as a confession, and then continued to call witnesses just to get everyone hyped for the verdict. Out of 135 judges specifically chosen for the trial, about half actually showed up and declared him guilty. Charles was a little flabbergasted, but surprisingly chill. He asked for an extra shirt so he wouldn't shiver in the cold and let people think he didn't want to die. Embarrassing. And other than that, you know, he dug his feet in the sand all his life, but once he saw the end, he was totally at peace. Guilty of all the treasons, murders, rapines. How about that, huh? I know, dude. Wild. See you in heaven, though? Thanks. Is my hair good? Yeah, man, you're good. Fair enough. All right, on my signal.
Unleash hell.
Later, losers.
Now that we made travel so expensive, we have this hotel to ourselves. How'd you get here?
Kayak. They compared hundreds of travel sites to find a great deal on my flight, car, and hotel.
Kayak. Search one and done.
Why is every guy shirtless?
Grab your girls
Another skinny Marg?
and go to the theater to see this year's must-see romantic comedy.
Oh my god, it's her.
What do we do?
Answer your phone.
Yo!
You should get yourself a date.
Love again in theaters May 5th. Rated PG-13.
Capitalism was dying. In the age of globe-spanning colonial empires, commercial printing, and the scientific revolution, the idea of a state held together by a myriad of personal arrangements between ruler and nobility was beginning to show its age, and those who could not adapt would be left behind. But history is not a straight road into the future. It is a hydra-like network of half-worn paths mired in shade and brambles. Take, for instance, Great Britain, where the rights and privileges of the king were so contentious as to drive the kingdom into civil war and begin the gradual transfer of power from sovereign to parliament. And then there was the French method. Your Majesty, it's 3 in the morning. Yes, I'm very busy, dear. You remember that gift card to Magellan TV you bought me for Christmas? They added a new
Motherfucker!
about the Stuart dynasty. You sure you don't want your Minister of War to take a look at that for you? No, that's just the problem. The nobles are all watching too. I must be one step ahead of them in case they get any ideas.
What the fuck?
They try. No. They've actually done something quite interesting. They're tracking the story of a
okay.
Welsh family and laying in parallel. Quite novel. May I watch? Get your own subscription. Go to MagellanTV.com/Jack Rackham and watch any of their 3,000 documentaries for free, or pick up another gift card. Just leave me be. Oh, James, you contemptible fool. Louis. The zenith, the very face of absolute monarchy in Europe. Where could he have gotten such a big ego? It's a boy! This one's alive? It's alive! I will call you Louis, the gift of God. And you see, you can do whatever you like, because God has chosen you to be the master of his creation. It is your right as king to never hear the words. I'm sure it won't go to his head. Despite what his mother would have him believe, the king was not very popular. The aristocracy was not very happy to hear about all of this absolute monarchy business, and the bourgeoisie was not very happy about all the taxes they had to pay to
I don't like that.
30 years war that just ended. Things got hairy.
Oh!
I can't hold them back much longer. We demand to see the king! Your Grace, I'm afraid there's no choice. The king will have to listen to what they want. Oh, precious. Move over! Right. Sorry. Have a great night. You're leaving? Yeah, it's getting pretty late. Thanks for letting us see the king. Oh, there he is. It'd be a shame if we ever came back here and were angrier than we are right now. We'd probably do some terrible things. Slowly going. Anywhere but Paris. Guillotines! Get your guillotines!
Oh, well, this isn't good.
France just isn't ready for you, my lord. The royal family ended up fighting 2 civil wars called the Fronde. I'll be honest, there's a lot I don't know about the Frondes. I'd love to revisit this time period eventually. I think it's really interesting how England and France both fought a civil war contesting power between the nobility and the monarchy in the same decade, and yet one led to regicide and Cromwell, while the one in France seemed to be a blip on the radar. Hi, it's me. I referenced the English Civil War a couple of times. I heard you typing. I realized nobles fought on both sides and that Cromwell abolished the House of Lords, and I think maybe the English Bill of Rights might have had a more immediate influence on the powers of the king. I haven't studied 17th century England in any great detail. I'm just pointing out some patterns that seem similar to me. It was a big deal for Louis, though, being chased out of his home as a child, and really helped to cement his mindset of don't trust the nobility, don't trust the peasants. Absolute power for me. Good people, law and order has been returned to France. Now we're going to need some new management around here to make sure this doesn't happen again. I've just got 3 little rules. Ow! Number 1, I expect your loyalty. Number 2, don't step on my groove. That means you, Bouquet, I see you. You think your parties are better than mine, you catty. I've got so much dirt on you, you can see it from space. Number 3, don't look at the man in the iron mask. He's locked away, Colbert, deep in the dungeon. He can't show his face. It would spell doom for the House of Bourbon if you saw his face, Colbert. Oh, the things he's seen, if you knew who he really was, don't ask about the man in the iron mask, Colbert! There's a popular story that Louis had a twin brother who was the rightful king of France, and so he threw him into the deepest, darkest dungeon in the country and locked his face inside of an iron mask so that no one could ever see what he looked
flippity
like.
fuck?
Except the man in the iron mask was probably a guy who wore a cloth mask a couple of times when he was being exchanged between prisons. My favorite theory is that the warden put the mask on him because he wanted to make everyone who saw him wonder, wow, who's that super important prisoner whose face we can't see that the warden's got with him? Wow, what a cool warden. So anyway, Louis found himself in a position not dissimilar from Ivan the Terrible of Russia, what with the nobles and the public handing over power to the king for the sake of stability, but where Ivan went violent, Louis went in another direction. Feudalism is what we in the science biz call an unstable equilibrium. See, with feudalism, there's really no such thing as a national army. You're a lord, you have your own army, your own land, but there are 1,000 other lords, and if any of them teamed up, they could kill you pretty easily. So rather than spend your life playing 1,000 player Risk, you cozy up to the biggest, most powerful lord and ask if he'll use his army to fight anyone if they attack you. He says, what's in it for me? You tell him he can use your army if you're not using it, and he gets to call himself a king. If you're a lord, that's great. If you're a king, that's pretty good. You get to be king, but you still have the problem that there are 1,000 lords who each have an army. Your army might be bigger than anybody else's, but it's not bigger than everybody else's. Historically, there have been many ways of resolving this. In England, the lords kind of developed a class consciousness, killed the king, got into a messy civil war, and then the king came back, but they stuck the course and stole the monarchy's power so the parliament can be in charge. If you're Louis XIV watching all of that happening across the channel, that's bad. So you could do what the Chinese did and issue a big standardized test to the entire country.
What the fuck?
Complicated. France isn't that big. What if all the lords just moved in with you? I'm sure they can get by ruling their lands by proxy, but you need a really big house. Oh wait, Versailles! You can't talk about Louis XIV without talking about Versailles. If the king has absolute power, and you want to become rich and powerful, you need the king to like you. If you need the king to like you, you need to be close to the king. So Louis created lots of opportunities for his nobles to get close to him. Greetings, Your Majesty. Howdy. I hope you came ready to party because we're going all night. Law! Hey, that! And if you really want to be close to the king, if you want one-on-one time alone with him, then you need to be the guy who
What
gets his slippers
the
in the morning, or
fuck?
the guy who wipes his bum in the loo. Now, Louis didn't abolish feudalism. That wouldn't happen for another century. But he did fundamentally change the relationship between the king and nobility. Louis created a system where all of the really old, powerful, noble families were competing with each other for ceremonial titles that gave them the distinguished privilege to fetch his slippers. Meanwhile, he started filling all of the important jobs with minor nobles, or people who weren't nobles at all, and who therefore owed their jobs not to family lineage, but to the king. It sounds like Louis duped a bunch of doofuses into role-playing mean girls, but really, if you were a noble, wouldn't you want
What
to spend
the
all your time
absolute
partying
fuck?
in the fanciest palace ever built? Turns out you can make anybody happy with enough bread and circuses. Sometimes you just gotta upgrade to ballrooms and caviar. With all of this new power, Louis made a bunch of new laws to create some uniformity throughout the kingdom and to give himself some ecclesiastical power as well. Louis's relationship with the church was an interesting one. He was very into Catholicism, and yet very not into the Pope. Any messages from the French clergy to the Pope had to go through, and any messages from the Pope also had to go through him, because he gave himself the power to veto the Pope. But more than anything, I think he just enjoyed discriminating against Protestants. France is a Catholic nation. If you don't like it, you can get out. That's just the king. Wait, stop! Not allowed to leave either! Louis turned around his finances by taxing the aristocracy with loopholes, hence the whole 1789 revolution, as well as just being better about how he collected taxes. And with that money, he fronted a new army led by officers who showed some degree of merit. But you look at that, lots of money and a big army. Yes, now all is revealed. The true purpose of all of this. Securing power and bolstering the economy were great, but they were also to be employed for France's true purpose, declaring war on the rest of Europe. For glory! Louis is the center of France.
Jeez
now
Louise.
France must be the center of the world. What followed was a lifetime of warfare that accomplished, honestly, very little. It began with the Dutch. Louis once had a great relationship with the Netherlands. France had fought for decades to secure their independence from the Habsburgs. But you see, part of the Netherlands still belonged to Spain, and Louis used a bunch of, royal dynastic family tree inheritance chicanery to take part of the Spanish Netherlands for himself. And this was kind of an economic affront to the Dutch. You could argue whether or not it was better to sabotage such an alliance for the sake of expansion, but I think that's missing the point. You see, when it comes to the kings of France, above any strategic considerations, above any treaties, above any moral virtues, above even the laws of Moses, there are two supreme and co-equal commandments. Stick it to the English and stick it to the Habsburgs. So realizing that Louis is totally going to go ahead with this conquering business anyway, the Netherlands makes some new allies with England and Sweden and gets ready to go to war with France. And Louis, bless his soul, he really goes ahead with the most straightforward possible solution. You said double Dutch, not double cross the Dutch. It's actually super easy, trust me. How dare you? All I'm asking is for you to stay neutral. You could do that for me, can't you? We're both going to hell for this. Don't expect England to give in so easily.
Find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
I'll pay you to stay out of the war. Sweet, no problem. I'll pay you more if you attack the Netherlands. Ha! Nice. And you have to become Catholic. Well, okay. Louis continued to get away with little wars like this, here and there, taking advantage of intentionally vague treaties and inheritances and whatnot, all the while making enemies out of nearly everyone in Western Europe, until he finally bit off more than he could chew. There were a couple of succession disputes in Germany where Louis wanted to install someone on his side, but he knew that getting involved in a war with the Holy Roman Empire, aka the Habsburgs, would mean war with Britain, and Spain and the Netherlands and Portugal and Sweden and, like, parts of Italy. It's nuts. But at that very moment, the Netherlands leader, William of Orange, was busy invading Britain to become the new king. So Louis figured if he was quick enough, he could go into Germany, win the war before William and his allies had time to come help. What he hadn't counted on was the fact that the English were positively stoked about being invaded. They honestly did not care if their king was British, as long as he wasn't Catholic. So, the Holy Roman Empire and Britain and Spain and the Netherlands and Portugal and Sweden and parts of Italy all jump into the war against France. And despite the war being incredibly lopsided, France actually comes out the other end with more territory than when it began. But at the end of the day, it still cost 9 years of fighting, and everyone agreed. Never again. To peace in Europe. Peace in Europe! Oh, they finally done it! Spain, are you all right? You look worse than usual. I'm dying, Louis. Oh, dear. Your poor children. There are no children, Louis. But that means... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. What's the matter? Leopold, Holy Roman Emperor, the next king of Spain.
What door?
Is either going to be your son or mine.
Oh.
The balance of power, Louis, the balance of power. I know. There must be another option. Think, darn it. I've got it. The Holy Roman Emperor. He has a grandson, Joseph Ferdinand, through his daughter. You want to give Spain to the Habsburgs? They're Habsburgs already. This is just another spin-off branch. Spain and the Holy Roman Empire will never be united. I want some of their land in Italy. We split the land in Italy, 50-50, between you and Emperor Leopold. The rest goes to Joseph Ferdinand. Deal. Shut up, Spain! No one asked you! Except then, Joseph Ferdinand dies. And, like, the clock is ticking. I can't figure out what's wrong with him. Just keep him breathing. Peace in Europe depends on it. Give Spain to the French. No, the Austrians. French.
What?
Austrians. There's still time for a son. Madam, you have to undress. He's half cadaver. It's all right. I've got his legs. Okay, new plan. I've derived a formula that outlines the relative strength of every European nation. We've got to get this right. We divide all the Spanish holdings. Leopold's younger son and your grandson. So neither will inherit 2 crowns. Archduke Charles will receive the Spanish mainland and the New World colony. He'd better take the Spanish Netherlands.
Yeah, well.
I'll take all the Italian holdings, trade Lorraine for Milan. We're still off. Aha! If I transfer Naples and Sicily to Sardinia in exchange for Nice and Savoy, then I'll just need one small county from Spain proper. By Jove, I think we've done it. Why wasn't Austria involved in all of this calculus? Beats me.
Oh,
the King
shit.
of Spain, however, still refuses to divide the empire, and his wife tips the scales in favor of giving it all to the Austrians. Except, psych, on his deathbed, he changes his mind and gives everything to Louis's grandson. What a relief! Now, we can put our plan into motion and divide the empire according to the treaty we signed. You're going to divide it, right? There's going to be war on it. Just think of the possibility. After all, what is to take it? Take it all. Louis declares that his grandson will inherit everything. And also that his grandson can still inherit France as well if things shake out that way. And also, France is in charge of the transatlantic slave trade for Spanish colonies. And also, he no longer recognizes William as the King of England. Tee-hee! France goes to war with pretty much all of Western Europe again. And the way it ends is super awkward. The Allies give Louis a real whooping, and then demand that he declare war on his grandson to get him off of the Spanish throne while they all watch. And if he doesn't win the war in a year, the Allies aren't going to join him in fighting Spain. They're just... Allies were strong enough to enforce their claim. The Holy Roman Emperor just died at a really bad time, And now the younger son who was going to inherit Spain is also the heir to the Habsburg monarchy / Holy Roman Empire, and it would be super uncomfortable if he somehow inherited both. So, like, yeah, totally. He was, you know, still the one true king of Spain, and his claim is super legitimate.
The hell?
It's just, you know, we're not going to fight for you anymore. The math shifted, balance of power and all that. And then Louis got gangrene and died.
Oh, all right. Nope, that's not it. Oh, jeez, that was a Hail Mary. What? What is the point of being in here?
Connect on a sweeter level. Kellogg's Rice Krispie Treats.
What?
I can help you.
Maybe. I need a pair for a wedding, one for running, one for lamping, one for bunching, but... So let's talk about the burial grounds, quote unquote, of Mount Everest. No one knows exactly how many bodies are up on Mount Everest. It's a treacherous climb. On average, 1 in 4 climbers dies every year. Many are brought off the mountain.
What is the point of this?
Where they are on the mountain. It's very dangerous to try to bring them off the mountain. So it's hard enough to get your own self up and down the mountain successfully, let alone trying to bring someone else off. Climbers and Sherpas lie tucked in the crevices, buried under avalanche snow and exposed on catchment basin slopes, where their limbs and their
That guy's not in good shape.
sun bleached and distorted. So why not remove them? The Business Insider reports when people die in Everest, it's difficult to remove their bodies. Final repatriation costs tens of thousands of dollars, in some cases around $70,000, to try to bring a body off. And it can come at a fatal price. So death zone, where the question above 25,000 is where the majority of the climbers have fatalities. A typical dead body on Everest weighs over 200 pounds.
Fuck?
Skyabovius.com reports it is frozen solid. Before it can be moved, it has to be broken free from the actual mountain. Most bodies freeze to the mountainside less than 1 hour after death and freeze solid in less than 4 hours. That's crazy cold. There's some notable. George Mallory and Andrew Irvine are buried or vanished up on the mountain and declared dead. And for 70 years, they remained unknown of where they actually were. But in 1999, they were found up on the mountain. Green Boots, as one of them is known up on the mountain, is kind of like a landmark. And they named bodies as landmarks by something that's like the Green Boots. He's an Indian climber who died on Everest in 1996.
Yep.
So this is a big deal. Our bodies up there say between 200 and 300. So it is itself burial ground for cemetery.
There's so many of them,
What
they
in
call
the
it Rainbow
world?
Valley.
I know. What in the world is the point of this? Am I supposed to try to go up there? Alright, I can get behind that. The hell? No! You motherfucker. Alright. No, what? No!
No.
The fuck? Wait, what? 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 Did I? Oh, Lord.
The unidentified wiki pages, an archive dedicated to chronicle John and Jane Doe's with the intention of informing the public
You
and
fucker.
raising awareness about their cases. Many of the pages found in this way make for stomach-churning reads. And today, we'll be going
Alright.
over of the most unsettling articles the site has to offer.
Hey! Oh, I'm happy to see you too.
Yeah, now we just need the lightsaber.
Let's get that restraining
Rick
bolt
on a
off
mission
you.
to prove that you shouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg for calling us an essential smart tech listen. Area might start at half the price of other top.
Poor droids. Let's get out of here before the same happens to us.
Uh-huh.
On March 27,
And
1971, an off-duty policeman was walking his dog in the Newton Road area of Burton, England, when he made a chilling discovery.
how the hell are we doing that?
Made their way through a wooded thicket by the roadside. The officer almost tripped over a round, off-white object protruding from a mound of earth. Upon closer inspection, he realized what it was. A human skull.
A man's
He
scrotum.
immediately called his superiors, and an investigation was quickly launched.
Right?
After excavating the mound, detectives unearthed a complete skeleton.
Well, shit.
Don't fall behind.
That it belonged to a young man.
Well, behind. Dude, we ain't going nowhere. We're locked in a room.
39.
The fuck?
Given the state of his remains, he had likely been in the ground for between 9 and 12 months. Whoever he was, he had almost certainly been the victim of a homicide. His life cruelly snuffed out. The man's hands had been tied behind his back with a cord, and his feet were bound together. He had been placed in his grave upright, in the kneeling position. The only clothes that he had been buried in were a pair of pink yellow socks. All of his other garments were missing. That sounded to many like the calling card of a serial killer. Some sort of twisted joke. A final humiliation. Despite this definitely being a male skeleton, a lady's 9-carat gold wedding was also found on the right finger of the victim's right hand. The ring had been manufactured in the late 60s by Henry Shaw Limited. Only 5,000 were ever made. Since his skull was the first part of his body to be found poking out of the earth, this strong note was given the name.
I don't know.
A little insensitive, perhaps, but the name ended up sticking. Thanks to the wonders of technology, these detailed composites have since been created to show what Fred may have looked like in life. According to forensic experts,
Can you slice this
Fred
open?
had short, round to black, straight hair.
Thanks, BD.
He stood around 5'8", possessed a thin nose, and had small hands with well-kept fingernails. Most distinctive, however, were his physical abnormalities. Fred had a significant amount of dental done to his teeth, and even had a partial upper denture fitted no more than 6 months before his leg. His jaw would have stuck out more than the average person's, and his chin would have appeared large. Fred also suffered from torticollis, otherwise known as right, meaning that his head would have leant to the right, making him all the more identifiable. That being said, it's unknown how much this neck condition would have affected his appearance. Veterans of this channel may remember when I covered the Eve chamber, now identified as Susan.
Wait, where the fuck am I going?
Just like Fred, Susan suffered from writing, leading forensic artists to create this uncanny composite, which depicted her with a severely tilted head. When her true identity was finally discovered 29 years later, it became obvious that Susan's writing wasn't nearly as pronounced as the authorities believed. In fact, it was barely noticeable at all. This evening really emphasized her torticollis in hopes of it jogging the right person's memory.
Look something in where?
Since she really didn't suffer badly from the condition at all, it may have actually had the opposite effect and slowed down the investigation. In that sense, we should keep Fred the Head's rank with a pinch of salt as well. Sure, it may have had a tremendous impact on his visual appearance, but it may also have been a near invisible condition.
Have you ever looked at the ingredients in your shampoo? It seems fishy. Meet Native. Clean, effective hair care that leaves your locks moisturized, full, and strong with just 10 simple ingredients. Ah, of course, there's no doubt drawn by the siren sense of Native hair care. Oh, cool. Really proud of. You want to eat mermaid? It's merman. My pronouns are he, them. Mermaid.
Visual appearance, but it may also have been a near invisible condition. Unfortunately, the authorities weren't able to match Fred to any missing persons reports, and nobody came forward to claim his bones. Despite having so many recognizable features, nobody seemed to have any idea who Fred the Head actually was. With few weeks to wait, the investigation into Fred's demise sadly froze over. One of the main theories circulating online is that Fred may have been the first victim of the Camden Ripper, Anthony Hardy, a man who took the lives of at least 3 women in the early 2000s, though he may also have been responsible for 6 additional slaves too. He was brought to justice in December 2002 when a homeless man scavenging in bins found the dismembered body parts of 2 of his victims wrapped in black bin lights. Not only was Hardy born and raised in the same area where Fred was unearthed, but he also liked to dress his victims in special socks. Mr. Men socks to be specific. Mr. Happy socks to be even more specific. The fact that Fred was found wearing only socks appeared to be a possible link. However, there are many who disagree with this theory. All of Hardy's other confirmed victims were females, and his rampage began 3 decades after Fred's life was cut short. Still, could Fred have been a test run for a budding young serial slayer? His first taste of blood? Or was this all the handiwork of someone much less infamous, but equally as sinister? The work of a still uncaught killer. Or killers. Just last week, a man named Ken Davies, who runs the Fred the Head podcast, announced that he may have found the victim's true identity. He posits that Fred was actually this man, John King, the 37-year-old scoutmaster who went missing in February 1969, 18 months before Fred the Head's remains were discovered. The day he vanished, John had travelled to Liverpool from the Isle of Man for a scouting event. At 4 p.m., he left his scouts in the care of a colleague, telling them that he had to meet someone, but that he'd return at 6:40. He never did. At 5 p.m., witnesses saw John being attacked by a gang of youths.
Did you say youths?
Off by himself, never to be seen again. His van was found abandoned in Liverpool the following day. Now Liverpool is roughly a 2-hour, 15-minute journey car ride from Burton. So why does Ken Davies think that John King and Fred the Head are one and the same? Well, just like Fred the Head, John King is known to have had extensive dental work done to his teeth, and, crucially, also suffered unlikely. On top of that, the timeline adds up. The physical characteristics are matched, and John Gay was within the age range that experts put up at the head. The authorities are currently looking into whether Fred and John truly were the same person. Hopefully, a DNA test will reveal the truth in the near future. Perhaps then, the perpetrator and their motive will finally come to light as well, 5 long decades after they committed their grisly act. Many of the cases covered on the Unidentified Wiki aren't unsettling because of how horrific their write-ups are, but actually because of how little information exists about the victim. For some, there's next to no available details to cover. In an existential sense, those pages are arguably more terrifying than the more comprehensive counterparts. These unknown ghosts were once individuals like you and me, with names and lives and hopes, who were all lost to time. Their identities and stories almost completely forgotten.
What the fuck?
One such example from the wiki would be 1999's Dallas County John Doe, a man whose skeletal remains were found along US Route 80 in Alabama. His remains were in such a bad state that pathologists said he could have been anywhere between 18 and 99 years old when he perished. A moldy wallet was found near his person. Inside was a driver's license, which featured this faded image. This is believed to be the face of the John Doe. Using modern AI software, the image has since been enhanced.
What the fuck?
Of his face. In most cases, the discovery of a license would be the only lead detectives would need to figure out who a victim was. And that would have been the same in Dallas County's case too, had the ID not been so old and tattered. Unfortunately, the name on the license had all but been rubbed away and was completely illegible. As for identifiable clothing, at the time of his end, Dallas County John Doe had been wearing a dark t-shirt beneath a red and blue tape Timberland long-sleeve shirt, along with a synthetic black jacket and black trousers. A semi-auto pistol with 2 spent rounds and 3 unspent was also found resting beside him. It's unknown whether he used this .25 caliber to remove himself from the war, or whether he had used it to try and protect himself from whoever did it.
This is nuts. I'm just going around in circles again.
And how that life came to an end remain mysteries to this day. Nobody has ever come forward to identify him. He's never been linked to any missing persons reports. And if foul play was indeed involved, the pup has never been ID'd and could still be walking among us. Perhaps one day, this John Doe will be given back his name. But with so few details available, and no developments since 1999, that seems extremely unlikely. All we can say with certainty
What
is
the
that such enigmatic
fuck?
cases are far from uncommon. And that's why I think the Unidentified Wiki is such an important archive. It helps to raise awareness about cases that rarely, if ever, receive media attention, and helps to keep the search for their identities and killers alive.
Oh, I don't want to do that. Wait, what? What?
The year was 2017. Rebecca Jane Olson, or Becky as she preferred to be, was a 34-year-old woman living a difficult existence, made all the more difficult by her husband, Craig Allen Wood. The couple lived together in a camping trailer situated on Craig's parents' property in Williamsville, Missouri. Their relationship was a rocky one, to say the least. Not only were they both habitual heroin users, but Craig had, on numerous occasions, threatened to take Becky's life if she didn't do what he told her to. For instance, when he was once caught carrying illicit substances, he told Becky she had to speak in his defense, or else. On February 17, 2017, Becky went missing. This gravely
This is
worked her
insane.
lungs.
I'm going around in circles.
Becky had an underlying heart condition and needed daily medication to survive. Medication which she had left behind at the trailer. She had last been seen at approximately 1 p.m. that day when her husband came over to check on how she was doing. This friend was well aware of the turbulent relationship that she had with her husband and would occasionally drop by to assess Becky's well-being. According to this friend, Becky was, quote, freaking out and shaking. Her husband, Craig, had apparently stolen some of her money and destroyed her SIM card so she
I don't
couldn't
know.
make or receive any calls.
Maybe I'm supposed to go this way? It's so fucking confusing, man.
Stop it. We can't do it without you.
Okay, so this was the cell I was locked in. Right? So, I leave the cell and go this way.
For obvious reasons, her husband, Craig, was quickly determined to be suspect.
Okay, right. I came in here.
Now, it's not unusual for a victim's partner to be considered the prime suspect early on into an investigation. But in Craig's case, detectives had a bit more to base that than a mere hunch.
What?
Just 1 year prior to Becky's vanishing, in 2016, Craig had approached the hitman and asked him to kill his wife. In exchange, he offered him 3 cars, a motorcycle, and half of Becky's life insurance paid. The hitman turned down the offer. Craig then asked him what would happen if he were to, say, inject his wife with one.
Uh-huh.
The hitman replied that this would probably result in a slow and painful demise. Not long after that conversation, Becky was rushed to the hospital in a critical condition, comatose and unresponsive. Despite being unsure of what had happened to her, doctors were able to save her life, but had to amputate both of her legs. While still unconscious and in a critical state in hospital, Craig tried to have Becky taken off life support. Since he was unable to prove that he was her husband at the time, the doctors refused to comply with his request. Craig would later approach that same hitman again and told him that he had syringed his wife with the pipe water, but that it, quote, didn't kill them. He also mentioned that he knew several good locations that he could have hidden her body, places where she would never be found. After Becky's disappearance,
Wow.
that hitman came forward.
Nothing like giving you fucking hints.
Hear that?
Not only that,
Sounds like someone is home after all.
also
Wow. Alright.
this unnamed witness had apparently been
The only hint I had to do this was that
moving her remains post-slaying.
the map showed something as red, meaning it was blocked. I'm like, okay, well, I have to unblock that. So I just basically had to take a stab at different things to unblock it. And I figured it out. But it's like, really?
When the car was returned, he found blood.
Hey, I recognize this band.
When the investigating officers asked to take a look at his car, the witness told them that he no longer had it. Terrified of Craig and his friends, and not wanting to get involved in this mess
Alright, I gotta pee.
he had thoroughly cleaned the car and sold it to a stranger. But when the investigators located the body, the car was
Finally, here we had Who am I? I'm Sword Tormo, baby. I'm the boss of this operation. You have greasy forearms to thank for bringing us together.
I will. As soon as we get out of here.
We have a special challenger for you tonight. An enforcer from a bygone era. A Jedi! Let's see what he's got. Oh, somebody get baby his toy.
Show? I'll give you a show.
I smell blood and money! Tonight, we celebrate those fallen challengers of the past and the great sacrifice they made to make us all rich. I felt that one. Okay, he likes to play rough. Get the hang of it quick.
Maybe you should come down and face me yourself.
I'm too busy counting my credits.
Great. Talks too much.
Some real action. Now that's what I call a fight. Let's level this thing. Hit him with something really nasty. Ooh, uglier than mating season on Yalbeck Prime.
That concern me.
Now it's off.
Let's get on.
Just like the Clone Wars.
Ah, this will be easy.
Or Jedi.
You want some odds?
What did he just do?
What does this?
Can't run forever.
Right here, BD.
How does he do that?
Let's get on.
That hurts. Even I saw that coming. info. You have any idea who that was? It's a battle! Last one! There's no escape! I will chase you across the galaxy if I have to!
Hey, Grease. You're famous down there.
Yeah, they're an ugly group, huh? They smell like used droid oil. At least they're okay.
Yeah, a complication we could have avoided. Luckily, we found you.
We have another complication. The Empire knows about the holocron.
That's not good. The entire mission is now at risk.
And I had a nice chat with the second sister, Trilla.
What did she tell you?
She told me you betrayed her to the Empire. Is it true?
She'll say anything to jeopardize this mission.
Is it true?
She was my apprentice. Before the Purge.
You should have told me.
We're getting an encrypted message from Kashyyyk.
Mari.
Cal, we found Tarful, and he is willing to meet you. That's not all. The Empire overran our position at the refinery. Saw retreated off-world. Some of us have joined the Wookiee fighters in the forests. Be careful.
You too.
Later.
Later. We have our lead.
Okay, this is fine. Everything is gonna be fine. Hey, kid. Hey, wake up. Can we talk?
What?
Can we talk? I don't know what's going on between you and her. I mean, I figure it's some kind of Jedi thing, but I don't think this is the right time for it.
It's not any of your business.
I think it's my business. And we're all in this together, aren't we? Hey, Cal. I made a mistake. And I almost got you killed. I'm sorry. I mean, we all make mistakes, right? Well, maybe not you. Hey, why don't you cut her some slack? I'm not saying do it for me, but you two are the best thing that ever happened in my life. Before you came along, all I cared about was a tight hand on a stiff eater. That's a game term.
I know what it is.
Cal, life's not a game. Before you two, all I cared about was myself. Easy money. Now it's different.
This Roche here looks great, Grease.
You know, it's not the origin tree or anything, but it does the job.
I like what you did with the branches.
Huh, thanks, kid. You know, you're all right. Pick anywhere except Dathomir. Hate that.